I just watched Tal's Talamander talk because that's what he called it, which is nice. Um, and I wrote down notes for Tal, but um, it also was very good because so like he's doing same format, same type of thing. But then it also made me realize like where I could improve here. So a couple things he was talking about, and I was like, "Where's like Tal? I haven't smiled like you texted me that link that said Talamander talk, bright. I smiled so much. I'm like, nice. Okay. Um, last Let Us Talk. I talked about two product guys. One's a head of product manager, and then one is like a product designer. And then Tal mentioned like, oh, like products. And Tal, you briefly mentioned. I wrote down. I just have notes here. It says Tal fidget spinner idea and therapy. Those are the two topics I'm going to talk about. So for Tal, your fidget spinner idea, you're like, oh, you'd love to have a fidget spinner. I would take every thought process you have when it comes to the product world, and this is just having a product mind, like leading forward, like, okay, what can that be? So if you think about fidget spinners, think about like what does it do? It's sensory, right? You want to be able to focus. So then sensory is like, all right, let's think about sensory modalities. And what are those? That's like, different ways we proceed. Like, there's visual, there's tactile, there's auditory, stuff like that. And then which one do you want to enhance for the fidget spinner? Doesn't make sense for like anything but a tactile fidget spinner for the most sense. You could think and go down the paths of the other ones. What would a auditory fidget spinner, thing that stimulates you, that it allows you to, focus more. Maybe that's, wave like brown or white noise, but staying in the fidget spinner realm, you go from there. And then I'm trying to think where to take this thought. And then after that, it's like, okay, then you decide on, okay, it's tactile. Like we definitely want a tactile thing. You want a hands-on because you fidget. That's the issue, ADHD, whatever it is. It's like going from there, I think is like, all right, then you think about archetypes or like the different ways someone could fidget. That's rubbing, that's like flicking, which could be spinning, that could be squeezing. And then I think about like the cognitive utility as in what does each of those I don't know if I'm cooking or not. This is gonna all be terrible. But think about what each of those do. So like squeezing usually is like stress. It's stress ball. Just stuff like that. Squeezing stress. I'm trying to think. Oh, like like when kids like some kids will rub their ears. I'm literally just thinking on the fly now. Kids will rub their ears. That's like soothing. So like rubbing probably is more of a soothing thing. And then think about like which one you want to do, and then think, all right. So if I was like rubbing, or I knew I want my fidget spinner to be, fidget spinner is the word that we're using as the mode of um a fidget spinner is a tactile item to help enhance decrease distraction because people I can't even think of the word, but you know what I mean. So and then just go from there. Like take all those ideas. You have a high level idea, start distilling. Like start like top level ideas are easy to have, right? Like just start thinking deeper on everything. And then yeah, and you were like, oh, like create more, like consume more than you create, 100%. Like you should like every single time you have an idea, write it down in notes. Take it 10 steps, even if you never act on it. Like just get your brain in the thing. I've had so many product ideas, app ideas. I've used Grok and ChatGPT to like code apps and execute it so I could like do them on my web browser. One of them was like a lifting app because I use a strong app, but I hate the UI and everything. So like I just wanted a better one. I didn't end up doing anything. It was probably a 4-hour exercise, but that's just healthy inherently to do, and that's me creating over consuming. So just create more than consume at the end of the day, but take those high level thoughts that you have of, oh, I want a fidget spinner, and then just like have fun with that. Like, all right, instead of scrolling, just think like, all right, if I had the best fidget spinner for me, what could it be? Um, that was one thing. And then therapy, quick topic. You're like, oh yeah, I'm doing well. Um, you don't only water plants when they're dead or when they look like they're dying, right? I think inherently for me, therapy is something it should be an always on. We are the plants and the water is therapy for us. And I think it is important to just continue to talk about your feelings and understand where you are at life, even good and bad moments. I've been having 45-minute conversations instead of the full hour with my therapist just because I've been doing well. But inherently, it's important that I have that 45-minute conversation because then when it becomes an hour again, or inherently I become, not inherently, wrong word, or I become in a worse mental state and need that time, I will be able to track when it was. It wasn't, 2 sessions ago, or maybe it started 3 sessions ago, but I didn't want to talk about it until last session. Don't just water the plants because they're dying. Always water the plants. Like, always work on your brain. It's super, super important. Um, I see her once every 2 weeks now. That's just the way it is. And then I also have like coaches and stuff that like I also talk about like my general life with for like, work stability and understanding that world. So I am talking to people in a ton. So I think for you, anyone, everyone, like everyone should see a therapist. Even if your life is like, oh my God, my life is so good. Everyone can improve. And I know that more than anyone else. Okay, that was that. That's the response to Tal. Now let's talk about me because yesterday, for the first time ever, guys, I lost my virginity when it comes to fainting. Um, what you might be thinking? Came home cooking eggs and I got really dizzy. And I'm like, I'm not feeling that well. Nobody's here. My apartment's empty. I'm here alone for 2 weeks. I take 5 steps from my kitchen to literally right behind me, and I fainted. The top half of my body got caught by my bed, and my legs were on the ground. I think I was probably out for like a minute, maybe two. And then I woke up and I was like super. I was like, why? It's like, what the heck? I like full on fainted. So got a lot of texts. I told coworkers and mom because I just hadn't gotten to telling everyone. I don't know. I had to work this morning, but I'm gonna get it checked out. I have like lightheadedness today. Like that's just been the constant state. It sucks. Like everything is like not squinty. And I don't know if a concussion. Like I didn't hit my head or anything. Like my bed was made. My bed was made, Tal, and it had nothing on it. So I was like, I don't know what happened. I just got so dizzy. So yeah, and I worked from home today because it's 4:30 today, and usually I would be leaving work in like 30 minutes to an hour. But yeah, so I fainted. That was interesting. Okay, that's that. Okay, next conversation I want to have is kind of looping back to the creating thing, right? So right now, like I'm doing these things where there's consuming and creating happening, and I think you consume to learn, but you don't consume. Um, when is consuming okay versus creating? I think like this is a fine line that I am dealing with right now, where it's like I'm listening to a lot of music, right? In this 19, like I'm doing like the whole billboards thing, yada yada, and then it's like, okay, well that's not creating anything. Like, excuse me, you could argue that it's kind of creating when it comes to like making the list and stuff, but it's very much more consumption driven and OCD driven, if anything like that. Because I love my lists and stuff like that. Pure O, as my therapist calls it, but understanding that has been super hard. Or no, I consume what I'm. Give me a second to gather my thoughts. I consume what I validate in my mind as productive, and then I don't consume anything really else. But the productive stuff is not necessarily as productive. So right now I'm only consuming really music and comedy because those are the two avenues I want to go down. But if I'm not acting on it, as in I'm not, writing down notes when a comedian's up, or like analyzing the bits, or listening to like just listening to music. Oh, I like this. I don't like this. Like that's not. And of course, you can do that stuff without. But for my sake, and I'm just talking about me, I want to be more than just consuming. So that's something I have to do. Um, so that's something that's been hard and not easy for me to like balance and work on that. Because it's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna watch comedy because I like comedy, or I'm gonna listen to music because I like music. Great, I'm already in that realm. But then take it. It's like the top. It's like take it a step further. Why do I like the song? What is about the song that I like? Yada 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 yada. Um, yeah. Um. Oh, and I made an interesting statement on the roof pod. I'll do another roof pod soon before it gets too cold. And it's like, if you're not, what was the statement about having kids? It's like you either should be having kids or be making the world a better place. And I thought about it more, and I really don't hate it. Like, I just don't hate it. I think, living for yourself is selfish, and it's just that. So it's like I think kids are like I don't think there's ever been a person who's had a kid also who said, there has, sorry, but the far majority, I don't know the numbers, but 90% of people would say, yeah, I don't regret having kids. Definitely more. It's probably 99%, right? Like, as long as you're a competent human, you'd be like, yeah, like, having kids is worth it. So, yeah, I think I first said it, like, and it does sound harsh, but if you're not doing something that I think is, like, if you're an Elon Musk, then I'd be like, all right, you don't have to have kids. But him, he's like 15. He's like, whatever. Like, so if he can have kids, you should have kids. We all should have kids. And also, it's important to have kids by the looks of it. When it comes to numbers, it looks like China won't be, not China, Japan by I think like 2175 will be like almost nothing. Like it will have like hundreds of thousands of people, no longer millions, or just like over a million. I saw some graphic about if they keep at their same birth rate over the next 150 years, like you need babies, and we are nowhere near overpopulation was such a fad or a thing. It's like we need baby boomers to be back. Like we need to be. I need Gen. What am I? Am I Gen Z or millennial? I don't know. I think I'm Gen Z. We need to be the baby boomers again, which is kind of crazy and weird to think about. We're not in the financial position, but after the 2026 financial crisis we're about to go through, like we'll be able to start booming out babies. Um, we just need a huge adjustment. I think we're still inflated from COVID, but that's a different economic conversation that I'm not equipped to fully have. Maybe not 2026. Maybe they keep it propped up until the next presidency, but before 2030, there will be a big drop. Big drop. Your stocks are about to go way down. Oklo sitting at like 85, 90 right now. That's going back down to 50 easy. Anyway, okay, that's just thoughts that I've had, and then thank you, Tal, for making that your talk. That really made my day. More than my day. Yeah, I'm still like lightheaded right now, so I'm not gonna continue this for much longer. I keep yawning. I just want to go to the gym, but I'm not gonna go to the gym. I don't know why I'm lightheaded. I don't know why I fainted. I've been drinking a bunch. I've had so much food today. I went to the store. I've had 4 tacos, chicken nuggets, a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. That's 1,200 calories right there just in that ice cream. Like it's 4 o'clock and I'm at like 2,500 calories. I wanted to make sure I wasn't like not eating, but I was like, yesterday I ate. I had a Subway. I don't know. So that was a bit concerning, but water under the bridge. My mom said her coworker came in today and said that he was feeling dizzy or something, and it was a side effect of just being sick, but that was the first symptom he got. So maybe I go from cold to flu. Time will tell. Time will tell. Yeah, but I'm doing well. Reaching out to people. I am not. Oh, I want to talk about this. I had the best not the best. That's an exaggeration. A really good conversation with someone who's smarter than 99.9% of people. This guy Jose is the co-founder of Untitled. It's like Dropbox, but it's for musicians. It's a music sharing platform. And we had such a good conversation. Shout out Jacko for putting that on my plate, connecting me with the guy. Unfortunately, I don't think any like employment opportunities, but just like talking to someone who is a product savant, like who understands products, but then also loves the music industry as much as me. Had a great conversation about like everything from where the product idea came from, because sending music has always been a pain, especially like when you're creating stuff, going back and forth, making edits. That's always been like Dropbox has sucked, Google Drive has sucked, so he made this Entitled app. And then the distribution process was so smart. Basically, Pollen is this Spotify playlist. It's like Ty and Tal will know this name, but Tyler the Creator is basically like people would refer to him as the artist's artist. Like same as like not as much as John Bellion, but like Tyler the Creator, that sphere of those musicians are like your favorite artist's favorite artist because of the artistry. So there's this playlist called Pollen, which just has a bunch of people who are your artist's favorite artists. And so they went, and their distribution play when they first launched was they went to this Pollen playlist where it has like 200 people and got 60 people, 50, 60 people to post on their Instagram story about this platform and like, oh yeah, we're using Untitled now, all on the same day on their launch day. If you think about that, that's so smart because it's not just going to like, if we did that to Taylor Swift or Ed Sheeran, like, sure, some musicians follow them, but the percentage of musicians who follow Taylor Swift or Ed Sheeran compared to someone like, Tyler the Creator or Tame Impala, like, they're going to have a much higher threshold. And even if you're only getting someone who has 7,000 followers, it's a good chance that 3,500, like 50% of them are going to be artists who are going to consider using that app. And so we talked about that distribution process and then how they're going about growth. I really think I could help them with growth, but they don't need growth because it's such a good product. And we talked about if you have a good product like the iPhone, it's not just Steve Jobs was great and Apple was great at their marketing and their whole marketing team was, an S tier team as well. If you would have just released the iPhone, that would have, it would have been as big or close to as big as it was just because the original iPhone was as, good of a product as you could have ever made. For the time. So, yeah, super, super interesting. Great conversation, and great products don't need great marketing. And that's what we were talking about. He's like, we had a great marketing stunt at the beginning. There's 3 most recent marketing stunts didn't work as well. But he's like, we still get, hundreds of signups every week and, every week. And we still have like, 250,000 monthly active users. And, when you're sending music, it's not a daily thing. It's not a chat. So it's like monthly active is their metric they use. So interesting, though. Like, I would have loved to. That guy clearly was on a different stratosphere of intelligence, like, to me. Um, I'll get there one day. But he was, and I'm trying to think, he went to Penn, just so, like, crazy, so smart and everything. I was like, And then first thing, like, I have these conversations with people I allude to and talk about here. And a lot of the times it's me asking question. He was timeout. First thing was just tell me everything. What are you working on now? What have you done? What is your history? He was all about me for the first 10 minutes, which was great for, I guess, me, because I really realized, I don't have my pitch for myself down, which I wrote down in my notes, which I have to re-up. Like, I was texting Jacko because he set this call up and, helped me out with it. I was like, dude, like, he asked me what I was working on. I gave him 2 of the worst things I've worked on. Like, I didn't tell him anything about what I did in end of 2024 or my, like, for me personally, like, I have generated 1 billion views for W. And I didn't talk about any of that good. I talked about our aluminum free can, like, what was going on now, rather than what I was doing good. I need to work on myself pitch better, my own pitch for myself better. I need to improve that pitch. So that's what I need to do as well. But yeah, super great conversation. And it's just great to have those conversations. Like, I always go in, no request. I just want to talk. Like, let me learn from you, ask you some questions. This time he asked me questions, which made me learn, which was awesome. So I have another conversation on Thursday and Friday with people. So we'll go from there. But then, yeah, besides that, things are normal. I'm realizing work is becoming more miserable just because I don't like my role. I don't care about email and SMS or Discord. Like, get me out of this. Like, I want to go back to social when it comes to creating social content, and I'm learning that now. So that's a conversation I'm going to have with my boss next week and figure that out. Yeah. Okay. That's that, and I will catch you all later. Peace.